guys, welcome to my channel where we would solve all different kinds of cube together. So for me, this started as a hobby. I picked up a cube, I started solving it. I messed it up, but I tried it again. But once I got to know it, I realized that it's not only a puzzle, it's actually very interesting. But trust me, the moment things start clicking, it goes from confusing to crazy. And that's what this channel is about. Not only solving the cube, but understanding them, understanding their intuition, and actually enjoying the process. So if you have ever looked at a cube and thought this is impossible to solve, you are at the right place. So let's build this hobby together. Today I'll be teaching how to solve a 3x3 Rubik's Cube. Most tutorials would give you a shopping list of moves. You follow them, solve the cube once and just forget it 10 minutes later. But today we are going to do it differently.
Oh my god! Wow!
I'm going to show you how to see the cube as a system of moving parts so you actually know what you're doing. So let's get started. Before jumping into the lecture, let me just quickly introduce you to the Rubik's Cube. A Rubik's Cube has mainly three types of pieces: the centers, the edge pieces, and the corner pieces. The centers do not move relative to each other. So centers decide the color of each face. So a white face will always have a white center. Secondly, edges. Edges have two colors, meaning each edge piece will be shared by two faces. Third, corners. The corners have three colors. That means a corner would be shared by three faces. So now let's go through the color scheme of a Rubik's Cube. So mostly white is always opposite to yellow, orange is opposite to red, and green is opposite to blue. But don't worry if your cube doesn't follow so, because a Rubik's Cube is solved in terms of layers, meaning bottom, middle and top, and not in terms of absolute positions of the color of the faces. Let me introduce you to the cubic notations real quick. So there are three: F, R, U. F meaning front, rotating the front part of the cube, you are holding this way. Right meaning rotating the right side, and U, that is up, rotating the top side. And the dash represents anti-clockwise. So F meaning F clockwise, but F dash meaning F anti-clockwise. Similarly, R meaning R clockwise, and R dash meaning R anti-clockwise, and U meaning U clockwise, and U dash meaning U anti-clockwise. So now let's begin with the tutorial. A cube is always solved, as I mentioned, in terms of layer. We'll begin with bottom layer, then we'll come to the middle layer, and then we'll solve the top layer. So a cube is solved using CFOP method, that is cross, first two layers, orientation and permutation. Don't get worried, we'll go through it all. So I'll just quickly scramble the cube. So let's begin solving it. So you can start solving the cube from any of the face. So as of now, I would be starting from white, meaning that I would be solving white as a whole face first, as the bottom layer first, then the middle layer, and then the yellow top layer, which is opposite to white. Now let's begin with the first step of CFOP, that is cross. So what I want to do is put this cube into a configuration state that looks like this, that is a cross. Cross meaning that the four white edge pieces are onto its correct positions in relation to the centers above. So blue and white edge pieces is in correct position with the blue center, similarly with orange, green and red. So now let's actually spot the four edge pieces that need to go here. So we can see the first one over here, that is white and green, second, third and fourth. So now you know where they actually exist in a cube. Now let's begin with the simplest one. The simplest one has to be this, because if you see this intuitively, all you need to do to bring this white here in orientation with the white center is just rotate it this way. So let me show you. If you make a front move here, this would actually line up with the front center, and let me show you from this angle as well. So if I just do this move, this would actually move here and line up with the white center. but it has lined up with the white center. It is not in the correct position. It is in the correct orientation but not in the correct position. So what I could do is I could just rotate the top layer to place this uh, piece in the correct position. So currently it matches with the green one, but we don't want that, we want it with the orange one. So what I could do is I could just rotate the top layer. So this was the first piece, we brought it to correct orientation and position. Now let's look at this piece. So this piece has a white and a blue. Now we want it on the top layer. Now you can see it is somewhere right here, but what if it was just flipped this way, then the white would face upwards. So in scenarios like this where we have the flipped edge piece over here on the top layer, what you could do is you could move it away. So make a front move. So this would actually move away and then make the right move. So let me just do it back. So what you could do is you could move it away anywhere and just make a move. So what would happen is it would come to the top layer but flipping its orientation. Now again you can see that this lines up with red and it is not lining up with blue. So what we need to do is move this piece here. So in that case what we can do is, so if we move the piece here, it's in its right position, but again the orange one will get messed up. So in such cases what you could do is you could just bring the piece down, and we just want this piece right next to orange. So you can make a move clockwise and then bring it upwards and then move it back. So what we actually did was we brought it somewhere to its corrective relative position and then we adjusted the top. So if I do it again, it was somewhat like this. I wanted this piece here at the blue top of the blue center but next to orange. So if I move directly, it wouldn't be possible. Instead what I did was I brought it far, I brought it down, I rotated this, I brought it up, and then it's in its correct position. Now let's on move the third edge piece, which is right over here. Again the same case with it. If we make a front move, it would be correct orientation wise, but it is not in the correct position because it should line up with red over here and not with green. In such cases I want it after blue, the red center is after blue. So what I could do is I could bring it far. So I can make a right move downwards, I can rotate it, I can bring it up and bring it back. So what we actually did was assign this relatively, because initially we had it like this, we actually wanted to bring it here. So what I could do is always make a right move, make a clock or anti-clockwise when needed, and get back here. So that way we have three pieces in position. Now as you can see, the fourth piece is right here. So the fourth piece, which is the green one, needs to be put up here. So what I can do is I can do a front so that it would line up with the green center right here, but keeping in mind that I have already moved the correct orange piece here right here. So any of the moves we would perform, since we are doing the first move to front F dash, we would need to do a front to bring this orange and white red piece back to its position. So what I have done is F dash, but since this is aligned, I can just move this upwards, do a right move to bring it to its correct position, and then do a F to bring the disordered orange piece back to its position. So basically there are no fixed algorithms for this. This cross is mostly built intuitively once you know how pieces in a cube move around. But the main two case in the cross being that if there is a direct white edge rolling over to the top, or there is a flipped edge rolling over to the top. So ta-da, we have made a cross. That is the first step of CFOP. Now when you solve the cross, you actually have a free will, meaning that you do not have to look, that you do not mess up the already existing pieces. You can make any number of moves to bring these 4 pieces back to its orientation. You do not have to take care that I'm not messing the rest of the cube, and that's why this being the first step, this is very intuitive and very easy. Keeping in mind that if you have already made some of the edge pieces, you do not mess them up while bringing the other pieces to its position or orientation. Now moving on to the second step of CFOP, that is the first 2 layers. What we need to do is bring this cube from this configuration state to this one. So you can see what's the difference. The difference is the corner pieces. So basically in this cube we have the corner pieces at the correct position. And how do you know that? So let's take a corner piece, this one. So it has 3 colors: white, blue and red. So white facing this white center, blue facing this blue center, and red facing the red center. So what we are trying to do is get those perfect 4 corner pieces at its correct position and orientation. And after that, our first layer would actually be done, and it would look like this. Now let's start solving the corner pieces. So let's say we begin with this corner. So what we need to do is find a corner piece that has white, that has green and that has orange. So looking, it is right here. So in order to bring this piece over here, we would bring it on the top layer just above it. So what I can do is I could rotate it like this. So this piece, which is right above where it needs to be placed here in the bottom layer. So this is where from here we would begin our algorithms. So now there are 3 ways in which you can encounter this particular corner piece at the top, which has green, orange and white corners. So currently you can see the white is facing towards us, and green and orange is on the side. But another possible configuration can be this, where green is facing you but white is on the side and orange is at the top. And third one could be that white is on the top, but white being on the top is a solely different configuration where we would follow some other rules. But for these 2 cases where white is not on the top, either it is on the side of green or it is on the side of the orange, there are particular moves that we can follow. So my understanding of this corner piece is we just need to place it directly here. But if we move this directly here, that means we would be displacing this, orienting the already existing orange edge piece here. So we cannot do this directly. So logically what we could do is we could take this piece somewhere else. I could bring this layer up, we could put that piece back in, and we can put this layer back. So what moves I am suggesting is U, R, U prime, R prime. That means I would take this piece away, I would rotate right to bring this layer on the top, I would bring this piece back here, and I could just put this entire layer back so that it falls to its correct position. Now this is the case I did when white was facing this way. But the case I showed you before, where white was facing this way towards orange and green was facing here, so this can be solved in somewhat the exact opposite manner I taught. So it could be U prime, L prime, U, L. That means I would take this corner away, I would bring the layer up, I would bring this piece back, and I would bring the layer down. So again the piece is inserted to its correct position. So the moves I showed right now was what I did when I first started learning Rubik's Cube. I mean, they are pretty intuitive and very easy to understand to bring the corner pieces here. But those moves are not only the right way to do that. So there are existing algorithms which are known as the lefty and righty algorithms, which are also used to bring the corner pieces to the correct position. They are almost same as what we learned, mainly same intuition behind what we already did. So let me quickly find another corner piece to solve, and I could show you how those algorithms work. So let's take this corner piece where we are looking for white, orange and blue, and we can see it is right here. So what we need to do is we need to bring this piece here, which is on the top of the position we want. So it is right here. So here I'll apply the lefty algorithm where white is facing towards this way and the blue is facing towards us. The algorithm is L prime U prime L U. So L prime U prime L and U. As you can see, we have inserted this piece right here. So even this is a 4-step algorithm like the one I taught you, but the only difference being that by the end of the third move, the corner piece is already in its correct position. It's just that we are making this last move so that we are not disorienting the top as of now. Let me depict using a similar situation where we are also planning to keep the orange, blue and white corner piece to its correct position here, but here we have the exact opposite orientation of what we solved. So this way, this configuration can be solved using the righty algorithm, and the algorithm goes like R, U, R prime, U prime. So we can see we have inserted the corner to its right position. So you can use any of the algorithms you find interesting or easy to understand, since both are 4-step algorithms, so both of them would work. So now you can see that we have put two corner pieces at its correct position. So now let's look for a piece to put here that would have white, blue and red. Oh, it's right here. And actually this is the third case which I was talking about before, where white is on the top, it's not on here or here, it is at top. So in such cases you could use both of my algorithms, but they need to be repeated a number of times. So for this particular case I would be solving it using both the lefty and righty algorithms. So if I want to apply righty algorithm, I would need a right and right edge over here, which is what we are looking for. So right, so I would apply the righty algorithm here 3 times, so this would come to its correct position. So I'll just do that. So R U R prime U prime, R U R prime U prime, R U R prime U prime. So you can see we have actually inserted this corner piece to its correct position. Let's say for the same situation I want to apply the lefty algorithm. So when white is at the top, you can apply any of righty and lefty algorithms depending on how you hold the cube. So previously I applied righty because red was on the right side and blue was facing me. But if I want to apply the lefty algorithm, I'll just switch the position to this so that blue is on the left and red is facing you, and I can just apply the lefty algorithm, which goes L prime U prime L U, L prime U prime L U, and L prime U prime L U. And you can see that this corner piece is inserted to its correct position. So now we are done with 3 corner pieces and only the last one to go. So now we are looking for something with white, red and green, and we can see it's right here. So what we need to do is bring this piece above this position right here. So what if I could rotate this twice and it is just above here? So again, this is the same case as previous one, where white was on the top and not facing you or towards the right. So previously I solved it with the lefty and righty algorithm both, but this case where white is on the top, I would solve it with the one method that I taught you before. So what we could do is move this piece away, bring right over here, and one additional thing would be to rotate this twice so that this aligns with the right edge that is brought up, and then we could put right back to the position. So now this is the same case we have studied before, where white faces you or and not on the top. So again we could apply the previous algorithm that I showed. So we could move this away, bring this to the top, bring this back and bring the right back. So we could see that this corner is now put up in the right position. But now let's say you do not want to apply this using the right side of the algorithm I showed you, then you could do this using the left side algorithm as well. So let's say if I rotate the cube like this, where on the left you have red and green is facing you. So in this case what you could do is we could move this away. Moving this away means moving in the opposite direction to what we need to solve. So we could move this towards the right, bring this up and in line with, rotate twice so that this becomes in line with this, and bring it back. So again, I could move this away, bring this up, move this back, and move this down to its correct position, and now we can see that this corner piece is in correct position. So finally we are done with the bottom layer. So you can see it is completely done, matching with the centers of the cube. Okay, so now let's move on to the second or the middle layer. So what I would want to do is bring this cube from this configuration state to like this one, where it would look something like this, where the middle layer or the second layer appears completely done. So now if you look at the middle layer carefully, the centerpieces do not move, so they are ideally in their correct position. So we need to worry only about 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if we find these 4 pieces somewhere and bring back to its correct position, then in just 4 pieces being into their correct position would make the second layer completely done. So now let's find an edge piece that would go here, that would contain orange and blue, and we can see it's right here. Now a shortcut to quickly find the edge pieces we are looking for is to look for pieces without yellow. Now how that so? Because look at the top layer. All the pieces, whether corner or edge on the top layer, would contain yellow. Now that means that all the 4 pieces or any of the pieces on the middle layer can never contain yellow. So to quickly spot pieces that need to go in the middle layer on the correct position, you can just look for pieces without yellow. So whether it is this or this or this or this one, they do not contain yellow. So now let's bring this piece over here to align it with the orange center. So if this piece was flipped, then we would need to align it with the blue center. So now to begin, there is an algorithm which would put this piece over here in the same orientation, like it would put it like this over here, meaning that orange would come here and blue would come here. Now since we want this piece on the right hand side over here, we could apply this algorithm: U R U prime R prime U prime F prime U F, and you can see that the piece which was over here is correctly inserted at its correct edge position with orange and blue. Let me explain further clearly by taking another piece into consideration. Say we are looking for a piece that would go here, which has edge piece of blue and red color, and we can see it's over here. So what I need to do is I need to align this edge piece with center of this color. So I can just flip over here and it is aligned with the red center, and what I want is this piece over here. I want this piece over here with red facing here and blue facing here. So in this case, I want this edge piece on my left side, which is exact opposite of what we did previously, where I wanted the edge piece on the right side. So in such cases, we could apply the following algorithm, that is U prime L prime U L U F U prime F prime. So you can see the piece that was here is correctly inserted to its correct position with red facing here and blue facing here. So now we are done with 2 of the edge pieces of the second layer and only 2 more to go. So let's say I want to solve next this one, which I'm looking for an edge piece with red and green which exist here. So this time I'll not only perform the algorithm, but I'll also explain the intuition behind it. While performing the moves, I'll show what is actually happening. So let's begin. So I want this piece, so I'll just align it with the red center, and what I want is this piece over here in this position orientation where red goes here, green goes here. So if I perform the algorithm, you can see I am actually moving the piece away. I am bringing right the layer on top, I am bringing it back, and I am putting the layer down. So you can actually see that we have put up the corner piece on the top, and we have actually created a continuous 2-layer edge over here. Now what I want to do is I want to insert this edge over here. So what again when I perform the second part of the algorithm is U prime. So I'm facing this cube this way in order to understand the intuition. So it goes U prime, and then you bring the front layer F prime out, and then U, and then F. So what actually is happening is you put that continuous edge over here. So now that's what this algorithm does. So in all of the three pieces that I put into places, I covered the case where the edge pieces we were looking were on the top layer. Now let's say if we have this case where I am looking for this edge piece, but it is in the opposite orientation of what I want it to be. So what to do in this case? So in such cases, what we could think of is, what if I bring this piece on the top layer, and then we could continue with our algorithm. So to bring this on the top layer, let's say we replace this piece by something else. And to replace it, let's say I'll take any of the pieces on the top layer and I'll just put it over here. And that means that piece would be placed here. So this would go somewhere on the top layer, and then we could perform that regular algorithm. That would mean that I would need to perform this algorithm twice in cases where the edge is flipped. One to place any of the random piece over here, and second to place the actual piece over here. So now let's perform the same algorithm to bring this random piece over here and actually move this piece to the top layer. So what I could do is I could just quickly perform the same algorithm. So that random piece has moved here and our actual piece has moved on to the top layer. Now let's perform the regular algorithm to put this piece into correct places. So I'll just align it with the center. And now I want this piece on my right side, so I would perform the right side of the algorithm and quickly performing it, and you can see that it has been inserted to its correct position. And ta-da, again we are done with the second layer, and that marks the completion of the second step of CFOP's speed solving method, that is the first two layers. So now let's begin solving the third layer. Now the strategy to solve this would be pretty much like the first layer, where we would make a cross first and then worry about the corner pieces. I believe this is the most interesting layer because up till this point you are already done with two layers. So now whatever moves and algorithms you perform should not only put the pieces to its correct position and orientation, but also not mess up with the already existing two solved layers. So here are some things that you should know about the third layer. So when I'll start building a cross, my first concern would be to make sure that the yellow portion of all edge pieces face upwards, and then I would worry that the second color of those edge pieces align with the centers of the respective faces. That means for a cross in third layer, I would worry about orientation first and then the position. But later when I would move on to solving the corners of the third layer, it would be exact opposite. I would worry about the position first and then the orientation. Meaning that I would worry that a piece containing orange, yellow and blue first should be placed here, and then I would perform some algorithms so that we could orient it correctly to match orange center, yellow center and blue center. So let's begin making a cross for the third layer, where I want to take this cube from this configuration to this one, where we have built a cross where the yellow portion of all edges facing the top and the rest of the colors are perfectly aligned with the respective centers. So now there are four scenarios that you can encounter related to the orientation of the yellow portion of the edge pieces once you are done solving the first two layers. The first is none of the edge pieces have yellow portion facing the top. The second scenario is this one, where we have two adjacent edge pieces having yellow facing the top. The third scenario can be this one, where we have opposite edge pieces having yellow facing the top. And the fourth scenario can be all four of the edge pieces have yellow facing the top. So eventually we would want all four of the edge pieces having yellow facing the top. So if you are at stage 1, you would need to perform the algorithm which I'm about to tell you thrice In scenario 2, you need to perform the algorithm twice. In scenario 3, you need to perform the algorithm only once. And if you have scenario 4, you are already there. So now I'll actually perform the algorithm on scenario 2. The algorithm goes like F R U R prime U prime F prime. So you can see from scenario 2, we are now jumped on to scenario 3. That means we have performed the algorithm already once. Now we would need to do it once more so that even these two edges have yellow facing at the top. So if I do the algorithm again, F R U R prime U prime F prime, then we have 4 edge pieces with yellow facing on the top. Let's say we face a scenario where none of the edge pieces have yellow facing the top. So in such cases, I mentioned that we should perform the algorithm thrice. So if I perform the algorithm once, you can see that 2 adjacent edge pieces will have yellow facing the top on the bottom right corner. So we would need to reorient the cube so those 2 adjacent pieces would face this way on the top left corner. So if I perform the algorithm once again, then you can see that we have now jumped from case 2 to case 3, and if we perform it one last time, then we have 4 edge pieces with yellow facing on the top. So that means now we are done with the orientation part of the edge pieces of a cross in the top layer. But what about the positions then? As you can see that none of the edge pieces have the other color aligned with the center. Now let's say I consider this edge piece and I try to align it with the red center right over here. That means the other edge pieces do not align their other colors with the edge centers. So in this case, I have an algorithm to share which would align the rest of the edge pieces with the respective edge centers. That is, orange would come here, blue would come here, and green would come here. Now let me first explain you what this algorithm would do, then I would perform it, and then I would explain the different scenarios of the algorithm. So let's say what this algorithm would do is it would fix the edge pieces facing you, so it wouldn't do anything to this edge piece. But if I perform this algorithm starting from right side, it would rotate the other edge pieces clockwise. So if I perform the algorithm from here, this piece would actually come here. So orange would come here, green would come here, and blue would come here. But if I perform this algorithm from left side, it would rotate these 3 pieces, not this one, these 3 pieces anti-clockwise. That would mean green and yellow would come here, orange would come here, and blue would come here. So in this case, which one should I apply? The right one or the left one? I believe the answer is the left one, because I want to keep this piece constant facing you, but I want to rotate the other 3 pieces anti-clockwise. That means yellow and green should come here, orange one should come here, and the blue one should come here. So the algorithm goes like this: L prime, U prime, U prime, L, U, L prime, U, L. So you can see that we have rotated the pieces anti-clockwise. So green was initially here, but it has now moved here. Orange was here, it has now moved here, and blue was here and it has right now moved here. That means we have aligned all 4 edge pieces with their respective centers. But now let's say we have this scenario which is pretty much similar to before one, where the red edge piece is aligned but the rest of the 3 edge pieces are not. So let's quite look at the other 3 edge pieces. So we have orange over here, but it needs to go over here. We have green over here, it needs to go over here, and we have blue over here, which needs to go here. So right, in this cases we would perform the right side of the algorithm, which would rotate these 3 pieces clockwise, and this would be kept constant facing you. So let's, if I move it clockwise, blue would come here, orange would come here, and green would come here. So let me perform the algorithm: R U U R prime U prime R U prime R prime. So as now you can see that we have rotated these 3 pieces clockwise, and now they are at the correct position. So I hope you understood the left and the right part of the algorithms, and just to summarize, this algorithm does not move the piece which faces you, which is kept constant, but it rotates clockwise or anti-clockwise the rest of the three pieces depending upon whether you do it from left and right. And also to mention, this algorithm moves the pieces in terms of position. Like you can see, it does not move their orientation. Yellow still stays on the top, but you are just moving them in terms of position. So now let's look at the different scenarios possible for the positions of the edge pieces for a cross on the top layer. Now we already saw one scenario where none of the edge pieces match the centers. So in that case, you can rotate the top layer to bring at least one edge pieces to match the face center, and then carry forward with the algorithm. But here in this scenario, we have two adjacent edge pieces onto its correct face center, but the rest two are not. So in this case, you can apply both L and R algorithm depending on how you hold the cube. So if I hold the cube like this, where these two are at the correct position, I should apply the R1. But if I hold the cube like this, where these two, this and this, these two are at the correct position, I should apply the left one. So let me hold it like this, where these two are at the correct position, and I'll apply the right algorithm. Before applying, I'll just quickly go over through what will happen if I do this algorithm. So if I apply the right algorithm here, remembering that these two are at correct position, this would remain constant, and these three pieces would rotate clockwise. So blue would come here, orange would come here, and green would come here. Now what would happen is, they are relatively in its correct position, relatively. So I would need to rotate this cube once, top layer once, that is U prime, to bring all that to its absolute correct position. So let me just perform the algorithm. So we have the two correct pieces here, and if I perform the algorithm quickly, we did it. So this remained constant, but the rest of the pieces are rotated clockwise. Now if I just rotate this once more, then we have all the edge pieces to its correct position. So what I did was, I relatively brought them in the same sequence we need. So blue, orange, green, red, like that. And then I just rotated the top layer to bring them to their absolute correct positions. So now let's look at the third scenario, where the opposite edge pieces are to its correct position. So we have red and yellow here and orange and yellow here, but the rest two pieces, like this one, blue and yellow and green and yellow, they are not to its correct position. So in this case, what we need to do is hold the cube like this, where the correct ones align like this in a straight line facing you. We could perform any of the algorithms. I performed the right one here, and what it would do is bring two adjacent pieces to the correct position, but the rest two will remain distorted. So again, these two becomes the case 2 scenario which we covered. So last time I performed the R algorithm keeping these two, but let me just perform the L algorithm keeping this two in position. So if I perform the algorithm again, and if I just rotate this once U clockwise, then you can see that we have brought the 4 edges to its correct positions. You can practice this on your own for the third scenario I explained now, to understand the intuition why we are doing the two moves, and after doing those two moves, you can do it using both L and R, what happens, like what pieces move clockwise and anti-clockwise, in order to understand what is happening. But at the end, we are almost there. We have made a cross, we have made the correct orientation, and then we have made the correct position for the edge pieces of the top layer. So now we are only left with the corner pieces of the top layer, and then we should be done with the entire Rubik's Cube. So as I mentioned before, for the corner pieces of the top layer, we need to worry about position first and then the orientation. Meaning that first I would want to place a corner piece here with red, yellow and green, and then I would worry about its orientation to match yellow on the top. Similarly, over here, I would want to place a corner piece with green, yellow and orange. over here a corner piece with orange, yellow and blue, and then worry about its orientation having yellow facing on the top. So now let's dive into the algorithm that would help us bring the corner pieces to their correct positions. So again, for this algorithm, we have the left and right side of the algorithm. So if I apply this algorithm beginning from the left, it would keep the bottom right corner piece at this constant fixed position only, but it would rotate the other three corner pieces clockwise. Similarly, if I apply this algorithm from right side, it would keep the bottom left corner piece fixed constant at this position only, but it would rotate the other three corner pieces anti-clockwise. Now let's search for a piece that is at its correct position. So this one has red, yellow and blue, so it is at its correct position, but the other three pieces you can see are not at its correct position. So let's just look at this logically. What I want to do is keep this constant, but I want to move this piece over here, this piece over here and this piece over here. So basically, if I keep this constant, I would want these pieces to rotate clockwise. That means I would apply the left side of the algorithm, which would keep this corner fixed one. So this piece would move here, this piece would move here and this piece would move here. So let me apply the left side of the algorithm. So the left side goes like L prime U R U prime L U R prime U prime. So you can see this piece is here as it is, but the other three pieces rotated clockwise. So this piece was here before, so it jumped over here with orange, blue and yellow. This piece was here before, so it jumped from here to here with orange, green and yellow. And this piece was here before, so it jumped here with green, red and yellow. But now let's look at this scenario where this corner piece is at its correct position, that is blue, red and yellow matching this corner, but the other three corner pieces do not match the respective corners. So let's keep it like this. So what I want to do is bring this corner with green, yellow and red over here where there is green, yellow and red, and I would want to shift this orange, green and yellow over here, orange, green and yellow, and this piece blue, yellow and orange, blue, yellow, yellow and orange over here. So only this piece at its correct position. So if I view the cube like this, I want this piece to come here, this piece to come here and this piece to come here. That means I need to keep this piece constant, and in this case we would apply the right side of the algorithm, keeping this piece constant. So I'll just apply it R U prime L prime U R prime U prime L and again one U. So this piece remained at its position only, but the other three pieces rotated anti-clockwise. So this piece was initially over here, but it came here. This piece was initially over here, but it came here, and this piece was initially over here, but it came here. To mention, this algorithm only affects the corner pieces of the top layer, and it does not mess with the already existing cross or the edge piece. So nothing actually happens to them. What you are doing is just playing around with the corners, moving them to their correct positions. Now let's look at the scenario where none of the corner pieces are at their correct position. So in this case, you would need to apply the algorithm one extra time to bring any one of those corner pieces to its correct position, and then keeping that constant, you can manage the rest three of the pieces we learned in the previous scenario. So let's say I consider this piece. So I need to move this piece to a position where there is intersection of red, green and yellow. So I need this piece over here. So I need to move this piece over here. So let's say if I hold the cube like this and I keep this piece constant because I want to move this one, and then I apply the left side of the algorithm, I would need to apply it twice, because for once this piece would move here, like it would move clockwise, and then the second time from here it would move here. But let's say I hold the cube like this and apply the right side of the algorithm, so this piece would remain constant, and we wanted that this piece should be shifted over here. That means if I apply the right side of the algorithm, keeping this piece as constant, everything would rotate anti-clockwise. So this piece would come here. That means only one extra time we would be able to bring this piece to its correct position. So let me apply just the right side of the algorithm. So if I quickly apply the right side of the algorithm, so we got this piece to its correct position, which was before over here. Now this piece has come here, but we can see the rest three pieces are not. So let's figure out what we need to apply. If I keep this constant, I want this piece with orange, green and yellow over here. So I don't want to rotate it clockwise, I want to rotate it anti-clockwise. So from this position I'll just move here, and if I again apply the right side of the algorithm, this piece would move here, this piece would move here, and this piece would move here. So again, one right side of the algorithm, and then we have all four corner pieces to its correct position. Maybe this was somewhat difficult to understand, but I hope I was able to explain it in an understandable, easier way. But if you just sit with yourself and see what keeping what constant, what pieces move where, I think eventually you'll be able to understand how the algorithm works, and you will get used to it when you start solving Rubik's Cube on a daily basis. So finally we are left with only the orientation of the corner pieces. So if you can see, they are at the correct position, but we need to just apply something so that I could just rotate, flip this edges so that yellow comes on top, and then we can just, you know, have it solved it fully finally. So let's just take the time to look at the cube. Now you can see two possibilities of orientation of the corner pieces. If you hold the cube like this, we have yellow on the side for two pieces. But if you look at this portion, we have yellow in the front. So here we have here. So we have yellow like this over here. But for this side, we have yellow on the left hand side and not facing us. So just remember, so if you hold the cube like this and yellow falls it on the side, the algorithm which I'm about to teach you need to be applied only once. But if those two pieces are like this, like yellow faces towards you, then the algorithm which I'll teach should be applied twice. So guys, the good news is there is no new algorithm for the orientation of the corner pieces. We would use the exact same algorithm we used for aligning the position of the edge pieces for the top layer. So if you remember, I taught an algorithm where this piece facing you would remain at its position, but the rest three edge pieces would rotate clockwise or anti-clockwise depending on starting from where I perform the algorithm. So if I perform from left side, it would rotate anti-clockwise, but if I perform from right side, these three pieces, edge pieces, would rotate clockwise. So here's how we would use those algorithms. They would always be applied in sets or in pairs, meaning that LR or RL means if I'm performing the L operation, it should be followed by R operation, and if I'm performing the R operation, it should be followed by L operation. Because if I just perform any one of those operations, it would mess up the edge pieces, right? And we don't want to do that. So if we apply them in pairs, L, R or RL, eventually we rotate clockwise anti-clockwise or anti-clockwise clockwise, meaning the position of the edge pieces remain the same, but as an outcome of this algorithm performing in set, we would actually flip or orient the corner pieces. So let's begin applying them, and as I mentioned, if the yellow portion or the color of the top layer faces towards the side, you would need to apply one set of this algorithm. But if it faces you, yellow is facing you, you would need to apply two set of the algorithms beginning from where you want to fix it. So let's fix this portion in of the edge. So always this would be done for two of the corner pieces, and this time yellow is on the side. So I would begin from left and then I would perform right, and let's see what happens. So L dash, U dash, U dash, L, U, L dash, U, L. And now I perform the right side. So R, U, U, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime. So you can see as a result, the cross is as it is, but the orientation of these two corner pieces have become a correct one. Nextly, look at these two corner pieces where yellow is facing towards us and not on the side. So in this case, we would need to apply two sets of the algorithm starting from right. So RL, RL. So I'll just quickly apply the one set. So you can see that after first set, the yellow is now facing towards the side for both of the pieces, and now if I quickly apply the second set, we are done with the cube. You can see we have correctly oriented all the four corners of the top layer of the cube, and it is completely solved now. But that's not the only scenario we should look into. So let's say you face something like this where one of the corner pieces is correctly oriented, the rest three aren't. The rest three are at correct positions, but their orientation is not correct. Also here, if you take a look, there are no pairs of pieces which have like the similar orientation. You cannot find a pair with yellow on the side or a pair with yellow in the front. All three of them are somewhere differently oriented. So let me make one thing clear first. The algorithms, the set of algorithm we do would apply to a pair of pieces like this one or this one, or this depending on if you start from the left or right. So in this, we would just need to think what we could do. So if yellow is facing towards the back, for this two pairs of corner pieces, I can apply the algorithm, the set, twice. Then what I could do is I could rotate the cube, and for these two pieces where yellow would then face on the side, I could apply one pair of the algorithm. So let me just quickly do and explain what would happen. So look at this piece, the yellow is facing towards the back. So if I apply one pair of the algorithm, you can see yellow is now facing on the side for this piece, and if I just apply it once again, then yellow is correctly oriented for this piece. So now we are done with two. We could just rotate the cube, and now for these two pieces, yellow faces on the side. So if I just apply the set once more, and ta-da, we are done with the entire Rubik's Cube. So guys, that was it with the tutorial of 3x3 Rubik's Cube for beginners. I hope I was clear enough. I hope I was able to communicate the intuition, the moves and algorithms behind the Rubik's Cube. But a little feedback would help me a lot right now. So if you are new and you are solving Rubik's Cube for the first time and you are watching my video, please do let me know in the comments if there was something that I missed or I didn't well communicate regarding any of the algorithms or intuitions. Also, please don't forget to like my video and subscribe to the channel.